The twin suns of Meridian 4 beat down on Marcus Webb as he trudged through the crimson desert, his environmental suit struggling against the heat. 3 months of surveying this wasteland had yielded nothing but rocks and sand, and his contract was nearly up. The mining corporation would pull him off-world soon, another failed prospecting mission added to his record. His scanner beeped. Marcus stopped, frowning at the display. Metal, buried 3 meters down, roughly 2 meters long. Not iron or copper, the scanner showed something it couldn't identify. His pulse quickened. Unknown metals meant potential value, and value meant he might actually get paid this time. He deployed the excavation drone, watching it carve through the sand with practiced efficiency. 20 minutes later, it exposed a container unlike anything he had seen before. The surface was smooth, almost organic, shifting between silver and black depending on the angle. No seams, no welds, no indication of how it had been constructed. Marcus descended into the pit, running his gloved hand across the surface. It was cool despite the heat, and seemed to hum with a faint vibration. He searched for a latch or opening mechanism, but found nothing. The scanner revealed the interior was hollow, possibly containing something, but the readings were scrambled. He was about to call it in when he heard it. "Please don't open." The voice was barely a whisper, transmitted directly through his suit's communication system. Marcus jerked back, stumbling in the loose sand. His heart hammered against his ribs. "Who said that?" he demanded, checking his comm channels. Nothing. He was alone, as he had been for weeks. "Please," the voice came again, soft and desperate. "If you value your species, don't open this container." Marcus forced himself to breathe slowly. Hallucinations were a risk out here, the isolation and heat playing tricks on the mind. But the voice had come through his suit's speakers, not from inside his head. "Identify yourself," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. A pause then. "My name is Theron. I am, or was human. Like you. That's impossible. This planet has never been colonized." "Not by your generation," Theron replied. "I came here 200 years ago, by your calendar. I was part of the first deep space exploration fleet before the war with the Covenant species. Before everything changed." Marcus activated his suit's recorder. If this was real, Command needed to hear it. If it wasn't, the medical team would need the data. "You're inside that container?" "What remains of me, yes. My consciousness, preserved in neural substrate. The container is a prison, Marcus Webb. I read your identification beacon. You need to leave this place and forget you found me. Why? What are you?" "I am a warning," Theron said. 2 centuries ago, humanity discovered something in the dark between stars. An entity, vast and ancient, that existed in dimensions we couldn't perceive. We called it the Infinite. It offered us knowledge, power beyond imagination. It showed us how to transcend our physical forms, to become something greater. Marcus sat on the edge of the pit, his scientific curiosity warring with a growing sense of unease. "What happened?" "We accepted," Theron continued, his voice heavy with something that might have been grief. 50,000 volunteers underwent the transformation, myself included. We became hybrid beings, part human consciousness, part infinite. For a brief time, we touched the face of creation itself. We could see across space and time, manipulate matter with thought alone. We believed we had become gods, but something went wrong. "Everything went wrong," Theron said. "The Infinite was not benevolent, Marcus. It was hungry. Every consciousness it absorbed strengthened it, gave it more access to our reality. The volunteers, we were just doorways, bridges between dimensions. Once enough of us had transformed, it began to come through." Marcus felt cold despite the heat. "What did it do?" "It consumed," Theron whispered. 13 colony worlds, gone in a matter of days. Not destroyed, but absorbed. Every human, every structure, every trace of civilization pulled into the infinite's realm. 7 billion people, Marcus. 7 billion souls screaming as they were dissolved into something alien and incomprehensible. The history records don't mention any of this. Because it was erased, Theron said. The military high command made a choice. They hunted down every transformed volunteer, every piece of infinite technology, every record of what happened. They couldn't kill the entity. It existed beyond our ability to harm. But they could sever the connections. They could seal us away. Marcus looked at the container with new eyes. You're still connected to it. I am a doorway that never fully closed, Theron confirmed. The military could not destroy me without risking opening the passage wider, so they sealed me in this prison and buried me on an uninhabited world. The container is constructed from materials that exist partially outside normal space. It contains me, and through me, contains the infinite's ability to reach into this reality. Then I really shouldn't open it. No, Theron agreed. But others will come. Your scanner detected me, which means the seal is degrading. 200 years of solar radiation, seismic activity, the simple passage of time. Eventually, someone will find me and be curious enough, or greedy enough, to break it open. Marcus stood, pacing the perimeter of the pit. This was beyond his pay grade, beyond anything he had trained for. But he understood the weight of what Theron was telling him. What do you want me to do? Bury me deeper? Theron said. There is a trench 5 kilometers north of here, a tectonic subduction zone where the planet's crust is folding under itself. Drop me there. In another 1,000 years, I will be kilometers beneath the surface, crushed by heat and pressure. The container will fail eventually, but by then perhaps the infinite will have forgotten this doorway, or humanity will have grown strong enough to face it properly. Or you could be lying, Marcus said. This could all be a trick to get me to move you somewhere more accessible. Yes, Theron acknowledged. That is possible. I have lived with the infinite's presence in my mind for 2 centuries, Marcus. I cannot promise that some part of it has not corrupted me, turned me into an instrument of its will. You must decide whether to trust me, or whether to trust that your superiors will make the right choice when you report this discovery. Marcus thought about the mining corporation, about their focus on profits and efficiency. He thought about bureaucrats and military officials who might see this container as a potential weapon or technology to exploit. He thought about 7 billion people screaming as they dissolved into something incomprehensible. I'll need to make this look natural, he said. If I just bury you deeper here, the excavation traces will be obvious. But if I move you to the trench during a sandstorm, arrange it to look like a natural shift in the terrain, you believe me? I believe the universe is stranger than we can imagine, Marcus said. And I believe that some doors should stay closed. He spent the next 2 days preparing. The weather patterns suggested a major storm approaching, perfect cover for what he needed to do. He fabricated a reason to move his base camp north, toward the trench, citing better mineral readings in the area. The drone could haul the container, make it look like he was transporting equipment. The storm hit on the 3rd day, winds howling across the desert at 200 kilometers per hour. Marcus suited up, loaded the container onto his heavy transport drone, and began the journey north. Theron remained silent during the trip, perhaps conserving power, perhaps simply having nothing more to say. The trench was impressive, a wound in the planet's surface where 2 continental plates met. Marcus positioned the container at the edge and deactivated the drone's magnetic locks. The container slid over the edge, tumbling down into the darkness. Thank you. Theron's voice came through one final time, faint and crackling with interference. For what you have done, humanity is safer. No one will remember this choice, Marcus Webb, but I will. Until the pressure and heat finally destroy me, I will remember the man who chose caution over curiosity. The signal cut out. Marcus stood at the edge of the trench, watching sand pour into the darkness. In a few hours, the storm would have filled the area with new drifts, erasing any trace of his presence here. His report would note the equipment loss, blame it on the storm. The corporation would be angry about the lost hardware, but they would move on. He turned back toward camp, leaning into the wind. Later, much later, as he lay in his bunk waiting for the extraction shuttle, Marcus wondered if he had made the right choice. Perhaps Theron had been telling the truth. Perhaps he had been lying, using human fear and caution to achieve some incomprehensible goal. Perhaps the infinite was real, lurking in the dark between dimensions, patient and eternal. But Marcus had learned something important during his time alone on Meridian 4. Humanity's greatest strength was not curiosity or courage or technological advancement. It was the wisdom to recognize when something was beyond them, and the humility to leave it alone. Some containers were meant to stay buried. Some doors were meant to stay closed. And some voices, whispering in the dark, were meant to go unanswered.